What's going on with Michael Harris this year? I'll tell you next. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Monday, May 5th. This is your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at The Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X, Braves_Today. They have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. And as always, you can find all my written work, bravestoday.com, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. Lots of content over there. Obviously, we're doing deep dives just about every single weekday morning. Today's 3 things recaps that day's game, what happened, the big moments, who the MVP was, that kind of stuff. Saturday news roundups, all of that. So bravestoday.com, free or paid, helps us out a ton. I want to get to the Dodgers series over the weekend. What happened in there? That could have been anything from an LA sweep to a 2-1 Braves win. And 2 of those 3 games, I think, were actually not that bad, right? I think they went a lot better than maybe our initial perception is based on the 1-2 series loss. So I want to get to that. I want to get to some of the news from over the weekend, whether it was the Ronald Acuña Jr. injury update, whether it was signing Austin Cox and optioning him to Gwinnett, whatever it may have been. So we'll get to all that. But first, I want to talk about Michael Harris. Because I, among many other people, went online and said that this was the year for Michael Harris. This was the year that he went from above average MLB regular to potential superstar. And so far, those of us who said that look like idiots. Michael Harris is really struggling to start the year. He's hitting .220. He's on pace for 20 walks over the course of a full 600 plate appearance season. And granted, he's never actually gotten 600 plate appearances in a season because of, one, the late call-up his first year and then injury after that. If Michael Harris is only able to walk 20 times in a full 600-plus season of plate appearances, it would be just the 20th season in the wild card era that somebody has gotten 600 plate appearances and walked 20 or less times. Obviously, not a great group you want to join. 2017, Tim Anderson walked 13 times in 606 plate appearances. 2014, Ben Revere walked 13 times in 626 plate appearances. Alcides Escobar with Kansas City in 2017. I think he did it again, too. I think he's in here twice, 2013 and 2017. Adam Jones, 2014 Baltimore Orioles. Like, it's not Delman Young in 2012 with Detroit. It's not a great list. So let's talk about Michael Harris, because I think what's going on here is his approach has deteriorated. I'm not blaming Tim Hires. I'm not saying specifically, but let me just tell you what's going on. What is different and why it's a little bit concerning. And to do that, we need to introduce a new statistic to the show. It's not new in the world of baseball. It was introduced back in 2023. But a new one here, it's called Seager. It's one of those, it's an acronym that is made to fit around a person's name. In this case, Corey Seager, the Texas Rangers. And Baseball Prospectus, I think Robert Orr from Baseball Prospectus created this. This is an idea of getting a score on how aggressive somebody is at swinging at strikes while not swinging at balls. They break this down into one number, okay? Michael Harris, his debut year in 2022, plus 13.1. He swung at strikes 13% more often than he swung at balls. Okay? This year, minus 2.4. He swings at balls more than he swings at strikes. And this is really weird. Like, he's progressively gotten worse every season in this metric. And there's some positives to his approach this year, but I think that negatives far outweigh the positives. So, like, positives, he's making more contact in the zone than he ever has before. 91.6%, which among players who have played enough games to qualify, Alex Verdugo has not, that's number one on the team. Like, the last person you want to throw a strike to, if the worst case scenario is the ball being put into play, is Michael Harris. He's hitting strikes. One, I don't think he's swinging enough at strikes, though. The heart of the zone. You'll remember when I've showed this visual quite a few times now. The heart of the zone, no doubt strikes. He's swinging 71% of the time. Overall strikes, he's swinging 68% of the time. Those numbers are close to the MLB averages, but it's not enough. The other issue here is he's not hitting those strikes that hard. Michael Harris's hard hit rate this year is down 14.6% from last year. He was at 47% last year, which is right around where he's always been. 45.1, 48.5, 47 his first three seasons. This year, 33.9%. So he is down significantly. His average exit velocity on pitches in the heart of the zone is down 2 miles an hour. His average exit velocity overall is down 2.1 or 1.9 miles an hour, right? So he's not hitting these strikes nearly as hard. And on the one hand, it makes sense that if he was chasing more, he'd be making suboptimal contact, and it would bring down the overall hard hit rate, and it would bring down the overall exit velocity and all of that. But when you dive into it, some of this is intentional, right? When you look at all of the advanced stuff in StatCast about his setup in the box and where he's making contact, rather than getting the ball out in front of the plate, his intercept point, which is where the ball's flight intersects with the bat, where he makes contact, it was 0.7 of an inch in front of the plate last year. Now it's almost 3 inches behind the point of the plate this year. He's letting the ball travel deeper. His swing speed is lower, and his swing length is shorter. This is not entirely explained by the fact that he's swinging more out of the zone. His approach has legitimately changed. I will say, the one positive thing about that batted ball profile is the additional opposite field batted balls are in the air. Meaning that he is more likely to get one over an infielder's head and into the outfield for a base hit versus a ground ball to the opposite field. But it does, again, he's hitting the ball, like his average exit velocity is down like 2%. His hard hit rate is down 14%, which is not something you want to see. He's making a lot of contact in the zone. He's just not doing it enough. There's not enough power behind it. And then he is chasing more. He's never been good at chase, right? 39% for his career. Entering yesterday's game, he was at 41%. Now, he had some good at-bats on Sunday, so it's down to 40.5%, but still, not great. You can see the impact of the lower bat speed and everything on his making contact out of the zone. His exit velocity on pitches out of the zone, a career worst 78.4 miles an hour. His walk rate's down to just 3%. Again, he's in danger of walking less than 20 times. The biggest concern for me is one of Michael Harris's strengths was always ambushing a first pitch and having a good hit. In his career, when he swings at the first pitch, he's a 304 hitter. This season, a 220 hitter. And here's the frustrating thing. whether or not he swings at the first pitch or not, it literally does not change his odds of getting a hit. Going into last night's game, he was a 220 hitter when he swung at the first pitch. He was a 220 hitter when he laid off the first pitch. But when he does make contact, because he's not swinging as hard, trying to be more situational, it doesn't pay off into legitimate production. He has 2 extra base hits when swinging at the first pitch. Before this season, before he backed off on his swinging at the first pitch gave him 25 homers in 494 plate appearances. It's a pace of 30 homers a season swinging at the first pitch. He's being more selective in the zone, less selective out of the zone. He's not hitting the ball as hard. And he needs to pick a lane, right? You either have to be passive at everything, swing less in the zone and out of the zone, or if you're going to swing a lot out of the zone, swing a lot in the zone too and do it hard. He's just stuck between 2 extremes right now. And he went the wrong way on both out of zone and in zone pitches. At this point, I don't know if Michael Harris is ever going to fix his chase problems. So just swing as hard as you can. Honestly, 91.7% zone contact. I would trade a couple percent of that for you to hit the ball hard again. It's a weird profile. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully Michael Harris can fix it. In just a minute, let's talk about this weekend series versus the Dodgers, because games 1 and 3 could have gone either way. You went 1-1 in those. You got blown out on Saturday. We'll break it all down next, right here on Braves Today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Chinook Seedery. Absolute best sunflower seeds on the market. I need to clean my office right now because I spent a whole weekend in here eating sunflower seeds while watching baseball games. Like, here's some of the mess from just yesterday's game. Those of you on YouTube, you can see there's 2 empty bags and a bunch of seeds in this bowl here. 8 flavors are fantastic. I love that they're not too salty, right? You don't get that saltpaper tongue. I'm not sitting here parched and dying while I'm trying to watch baseball. Original, nice blend of saltiness and sweetness. Lemon pepper, jalapeno ranch, smokehouse barbecue, hatch chili, dill pickle, cinnamon toast. That's a real fun kind of sweet one. Parmesan and pepper. Don't sleep on Parmesan and pepper. So go to ChinookSeedery.com, CHINOOK, Seedery.com. Promo code BRAVES gets you a couple things. 1, 10% off your order no matter what it is. You can buy a sampler pack. They send you a little baggie. They send you 8 little bags, 1 for each flavor. Shipping's free, always free on that. You can try that out. Promo code does work on it. Once you figure out what you like, you go back. And you can either buy a variety pack, which is a case of everything, or you can build your own. You just pick the flavors you like. And then again, promo code BRAVES at ChinookSeedery.com gets you 10% off, gets you free shipping on orders over $40, and it supports the Braves Today podcast. So Chinook promo code BRAVES. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby, just talking about the weekend that was. Braves go 1-2 versus the Dodgers. And a lot of weather impacts here, right? Braves lose 2-1 on Friday. That game is delayed in the 8th inning. Like, after the 8th inning, there's a rain delay there. 10-3 on Saturday. That game starts a couple hours after scheduled time. I believe we did the postcast at 1-something in the morning over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Shout out to all y'all who were over there for that. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And then Sunday actually starts on time. Braves win 4-3 on Sunday Night Baseball. So you don't get swept in the season series. Would have been the first time the Braves had been swept in the season series by LA in these two franchises' history. So nice that didn't happen. But these games, honestly, games 1 and 3 both could have gone different directions. Atlanta had opportunities to score runs in game 1. Matt Olson hits a home run to open the 7th inning. He didn't actually get it that well. Like 104 off the bat. It goes 411 feet. That wall is 410. Andy Pages almost made a catch on that thing. But then after that, you had Sean Murphy ripped one to deep center field. It gets caught. Ozzie Albies had a softer, shallower fly ball to center field that was caught. Michael Harris goes through a 9-pitch at-bat. He fouls off 5 pitches to stay alive. He also swings at 3 pitches below the zone against Kirby Yates and strikes out. But the thing here was Grant Holmes. Grant Holmes went 6 full innings, 9 strikeouts, and like he's just the third pitcher, or at the time, he was the third pitcher to strike out Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman all in the same inning. Since Ohtani's been in LA. Brandon Pfaadt of the Diamondbacks did it, and David Robertson, then of the Rangers, did it twice last season. Holmes was just the third pitcher to do it. We're going to add somebody else after this weekend. And the thing there for him was like using the cutter, right? Mixing the cutter in and like using that as the disguised bridge pitch off of both the slider and the fastball. If somebody was sitting slider below, like bottom of the zone, he could throw a cutter up a little bit more. It looked like a slider out of the hand. If they were looking for the spin, it looked like a slider, but it would end up above where the slider would end. They'd swing underneath it. If somebody would try to sit fastball, they would read how hard the cutter was, but the cutter would be below where the fastball, they thought the fastball was going to come in. Really good piece of work to use that cutter as a bridge pitch for both. I really liked how he did that. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, though. I mean, he's a Cy Young favorite for a reason. He had a no-hitter into the 6th, and just the Braves were getting decent contact. They put 13 balls into play off of him. 3 of them were over 105 miles an hour, and they just weren't falling for hits. And that was a theme of the weekend right there. I do want to shout out Marcell Ozuna, though, in that game. Yamamoto took 91 pitches for 6 innings. Marcell drew 2 walks in his first 2 plate appearances and then grounded out in the third. He saw 26 pitches in 3 at-bats. So Yamamoto took 91 pitches for 6 innings. 29% of them were thrown to Marcell Ozuna. I thought that was really interesting. But Braves just, they're not able to scratch across that second run. You end up losing the game 2-1. Saturday was regretful for a ton of reasons. My gosh. Especially the rain delay starting so late. Spencer Schwellenbach having his shortest outing of his career, and he was getting ripped. They were just hitting so many hard hit balls off of him. For the game, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman are what beat Atlanta. Those 3 guys beat the Braves. In game 2, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman go 8 for 13, 2 home runs, a double. They together score 8 of LA's 10 runs. They drive in 6 runs. They put 12 balls into play. 9 of them were hard hit. 7 were over 99 miles an hour. Just absurd how well they were hitting baseballs on Saturday. And Schwellenbach, his last 4 starts, he has a 7.17 ERA. So definitely not great. He has 2 outings of less than 5 innings and 6 runs allowed in that stretch. And then between those 2, he has 2 quality starts. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 total runs against St. Louis. And then Arizona, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 total runs against Arizona. So I don't remember him getting hit this hard last year. Starts, counting the beginning of this year. He had 4 starts where 7 balls were hit 99 miles an hour or harder. It's happened 4 times in the last 4 starts. So even those 2 that he won against St. Louis and Arizona, like where he had a quality start by the metric of quality start, he still gave up a ton of hard hit contact. Don't quite know what's going on there. I'm going to try to deep dive into it. I'm not going to promise anything because I don't know how I'm going to figure out why, but I'm going to try to figure it out. And then Sunday, Bryce freaking Elder, man. Bryce Elder also opened the game with strikeouts of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, which is not something that I ever thought I would say Bryce Elder was going to do. He strikes out Ohtani looking, Betts swinging, and Freeman swinging. And I was not expecting that. He goes 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. They send him back out for the 6th. And I understand this. A lot of people on social media were frustrated that Elder went back out for the 6th inning. But you used the bullpen a lot on Saturday. Again, Schwellenbach's start was a career worst 3 2/3 innings. So you had to cover over 5 innings from your pen. So they sent him back out for the 6th. He walks Mookie Betts. He gives up a single to Freddie Freeman. And so they go ahead and they pull him. And again, I'm fine with the decision to send him back out. He was pitching well. His pitch count was fine. And you needed the length. It could have ended in disaster. Pierce Johnson just came out and decided to be a dog, right? Runners on first and third, no outs. He gets Teoscar Hernandez to pop up for the first out. Max Muncy grounds, and I think it was to second base. So Betts does score. 1 run comes in. And then he strikes out Andy Pages. Absolutely clutch. He threw 10 to 14 curveballs. He had talked over, I think it was over the winter, maybe in spring. He was trying to get more balanced in his pitch usage. That has now changed. That has gone back to throwing heavy curveballs. That is the 6th consecutive outing for Pierce Johnson with no runs allowed and no hits allowed. So I think his return to high leverage innings can also help this Braves pen stabilize a little bit. Now you have, if your starter can go 5 innings, Pierce Johnson can be your 6th, Dylan Lee can be the 7th, Deisabel Hernandez can be the 8th, Raisel Iglesias can be the 9th. Raisel gets the save, by the way. He allowed somebody to get on to start the inning, and he got 3 strikeouts. The first and third strikeouts, I still feel like there were too many pitches that were elevated. The Miguel Rojas strikeout was, those changeups were a thing of beauty. Everything was down. Those changeups were inside on the corner. Beautiful, beautiful at-bat. But the at-bats before and after, too many elevated pitches. Luckily, they didn't make him pay for it. But I don't know if Ohtani would have gotten up and you threw him some of those elevated pitches, they'd have been hit all the way back to the side of Turner Field. Like, they would not have stayed in the ballpark. So, I'm not saying Raisel Iglesias is back, but he got the Raisel Iglesias results in this one. And then Austin Riley had 2 home runs, right? Now has a team leading home runs. He has a reputation for being really good in May. I think in his career, he's a .282 hitter and 26 home runs, 66 RBI, and 112 starts. Here's the thing. I think he gets so much attention for his May because he always starts off slowly in April. His Julys are even better. He has 123 career starts in July. He's hitting 292 with 37 home runs and 95 RBI. But he's not terrible in June, so we don't realize his July is even better than his May. We talk about Austin Riley being the GOAT in May. It's because he starts bad every year. That's why we think about that. The final kind of takeaways here, Matt Olson. He had some incredibly hard hit balls. The Braves destroyed some baseballs in this one. They were hitting the ball incredibly hard and not getting the results out of it. Matt Olson had a 113 mile an hour line out. And he had another one where he hits it. It goes off of Freeman at first to Kike Hernandez at second, who recovers and makes the throw to first to beat Matt Olson. It's the incredibly common and perfectly normal 3-4-1 put out, right? But just something where the dude can't seem to catch a break. Going into last night's game, he had the 4th largest negative discrepancy between his actual slugging and his expected slugging. Actual of 407, expected of 582. And I know people don't want to hear about the luck thing. They're like, hey, stop talking about the luck. He was unlucky last year. It corrected last year. That heater he had at the end of the year, his luck corrected. For the year, his actual batting average and expected batting average were both 247. His actual slugging was 457. The expected was 448. The luck corrected last year. Austin Riley is hitting like 2023. I'm sorry. Keep saying Austin Riley. Matt Olson is hitting like 2023 Matt Olson, but he's not getting the results of 2023 Matt Olson. Again, his expected slugging is a lot closer to 600, whereas last year it was mid fours. When those balls start actually falling for him like they should, he's going to see a surge in performance. If you're a fantasy baseball person, don't be afraid to go out and make an offer to buy Matt Olson. Go acquire Matt Olson via trade. In just a second, let's catch up on some of the news from the weekend that we missed. Injury update on Spencer Strider and Ronald Jr., an acquisition of a reliever. We'll do all that next, right here on Braves Today. Final segment of Braves Today, Lindsay Crosby breaking down some of the news that we missed from over the weekend. We got updates from manager Brian on both Spencer Strider and Ronald Jr. For Strider, he's playing catch, he's receiving treatment, but the hamstring is not fully healed, right? They have not yet decided on a rehab assignment, but he's able to play catch. He's still getting treatment. I would imagine the best case scenario is a couple weeks. He could be back. For Ronald Jr., a little more disappointed. Y'all may remember back in February, I told you guys that I talked to people close to Ronald, and his goal was to make it back for this Dodgers series. Obviously, he didn't do that. Not only did he do that, he's not even ready for a rehab assignment yet. Snit told the media that he's still in Northport doing drills, lower body strengthening exercises, which Mark Bowman talked about. Folks close to the team believe that he's still a few weeks away from a rehab assignment. So we're looking at late May or early June. To their credit, not only did the Braves never give a timeline of when they expected him to be back, AA even said that depending on how the rehab didn't ramp up, it could be May, it could be June. AA said it could take a while to get Ronald back. But seeing him take live at-bats in March is a little bit frustrating that he's still not back. Now, I will say, for the most part, you've gotten the production out of the outfield. Alex Verdugo's definitely helped. Michael Harris was on a heater for a little bit. It did raise his season numbers to at least somewhat respectable. He only got one hit over the weekend, though. Eli White had a hit on Sunday, but struck out 3 times. You need to add Ronald to the outfield. And we'll have to have a conversation about what happens to Eli White then. Do you try him at short? Again, Nick Allen leads all shortstops now outs above average. Is one of 2 to start, I think, at least 12 games and not have an error. But he's not hitting incredibly well. Ozzy's been struggling. Do you rotate Eli White in with Ozzy? What do you do? We'll have to figure that out. But there you go. So injury update there. Jesse Chavez returned to the team. We talked about that late last week. They also added Zach Thompson. Another guy they added is Austin Cox. He's a lefty, was released by the Royals. And he is a local kid, right? He was born in Macon. He went to Mercer. They signed him to a major league deal and optioned him to Gwinnett on Sunday morning. I don't really know why he was released. He wasn't pitching bad for Omaha in AAA. 2-1, 3.55 ERA, 12 2/3 innings, 18 strikeouts to 6 walks. I don't know why they released him, but they did. He's throwing a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, 92.5. Like, this year, my StatCast dashboard said 44.3% usage on the four-seam fastball, an 86-mile-an-hour cutter. He's using just under 30% of the time, a curveball, and then both a changeup and a splitter. StatCast read them as separate pitches. So 9% changeup, 3% splitter. So 12% and change usage of off-speed pitches there to go along with a four-seamer, a cutter, and a curveball. To me, you now have a few different options for lefty depth behind Dylan Lee and Aaron Bummer. I don't think they're actively trying to get a third lefty into the Major League roster right now. But you have options, right? Jose Suarez is in Gwinnett. He passed through waivers. Dylan Dodd, I talked about this on Friday. He's been rather good after that first outing where he got blown up. Since then, he's been really good. Hayden Harris is in Double-A. You've got quite a few lefty options. And that was one of those 40-man spots that Atlanta was holding open. I told you guys on Friday, Atlanta had 2 40-man spots open. I didn't know why. That was one of them. So there you go. You still have an open spot. I don't know if they're holding that for Kimbrel, if they're expecting some other move, but there is still one spot open. But one of those spots I pointed out last week went to Austin Cox. Braves are back in action today. Tonight, it's a new series against the Cincinnati Reds. Interesting pitching matchups. In this, AJ Smith-Shawver is back on Monday. He takes on Brady Singer. Chris Sale tomorrow versus Andrew Abbott. You get Grant Holmes versus Hunter Green, which, holy cow, Hunter Green's been fantastic here. Spencer Schwellenbach versus Nick Lodolo on Thursday. All four of these games, 7:15. I'll try to go in there and preview some of these every morning, as well as not just sit there and talk about a game that's going to happen or what just happened, but also give you something else like that deep dive on Michael Harris today. If you're listening on audio, do me a favor, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, whatever Google uses nowadays. Some kind words of affirmation, always great. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we drop tomorrow's episode. These things come out every weekday at noon Eastern, unless there's a Braves day game, because then you have 30 minutes to watch it before the game starts. Yeah. Okay, until next time, this has been Braves Today.